What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are yet again with one of our longest running and easily one of my favorite video series here on the channel. I went back and looked. We've been doing this for over a year and a half now, and now over the year and a half since we've been doing this, I think we've learned all kinds of fun lessons. And the interesting thing is, you know, we're taking some lessons from the Sword and Shield cards, we're applying them to the Scarlet and Violet, and as I always say, anytime you can take lessons from the past and apply them to the present to give you some idea of what might happen in the future, it just makes you feel better whenever you're spending your hard-earned Poké dollars. So with that being said, listen, what this video series is, we get a list straight from TCG Player. TCG Player sends this list every single month and they say, hey, listen, y'all need to pay attention because these are the cards that have been moving with the most velocity on our website over the last month. And what I'm really excited about for this month in particular is we're going to go through this. These are the top 10 cards, like 1 through 10. These are the cards that have exchanged hands the most on TCG Player last month. But I'm going to take it a step further, and later on in this week, I'm going to go ahead and do the top 10 vintage cards that have exchanged hands the most on TCG Player, because it's not just a list of 1 to 10 that TCG Player sends out, right? It is a list of 100 cards. So then I filter it to some of the oldest sets that are out there, and I look at the top 10 cards, and you know how I feel. I think some of these modern cards are absolutely incredible. I think that there is some opportunity out here in the modern space, but I really think that vintage is being overlooked. So I'm very excited to pull that first, top 10 cards that are exchanging hands the most from the vintage era on TCG Player. So that's going to come later on in the week. I just wanted to hit you with that early on. But I do think that whenever we can get this kind of information directly from a site like TCG Player, where the buying and selling and velocity of how Pokemon cards move is at such a high level, there's no better way to truly understand what is going on at a macro level of the market than when they share this information with us. And that's why I enjoy it so much. And as I said, we've been doing it for a year and a half. We have learned a ton over the last year and a half looking at this. And now we're finally at the point where we can start to apply some of those lessons to some of these Scarlet and Violet cards. Now, we're not just going to look at the card and their current price movement. As always, I am going to show you either the booster box, elite trainer box, or ultra premium collection box that they come from, especially, obviously. Not all of these are going to come from booster boxes. Some are specialty sets. And then I also have this star system, which is really cool. And that's just going to show you how many months in a row a card has been on this list. As I said, we do the video every single month. So whenever we see cards that have been on here for like 3, 4, 5 months in a row and beyond, those cards have a crazy track record of long-term growth and performance. So that's something to keep an eye out for. So with that being said, we do this all the time. It's a ton of fun. If you're interested in more, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. And if you got questions or comments, drop them down below. With that out of the way, let's start jumping into the 10 cards that exchanged hands the most on TCG Player last month. Now, I always start this video off with what has fallen off the list, because what is on is exciting, but what has fallen off is equally important. And I wouldn't say that there is a ton of surprises on here, right? What do you see? We got 3 cards from Shrouded Fables. We all know Shrouded Fables isn't what I would consider a highly collectible set, but it had a lot of playability. So you got Pheasantipede, you got Cassiopeia, you got Earthen Vessel. Last month, Pheasantipede was number 6. It drops to 27. Cassiopeia was 7, drops to 16. Earthen Vessel was 8, drops to number 17. Then you got Roaring Moon. Okay, Roaring Moon, it has really fallen from grace. It was number 10 in last month's list, and it isn't even in the top 100 this month. Rarely do we see cards going from a top 10 to not listed at all. So Roaring Moon, congratulations, as a consolation prize. You've done something very rare that we don't see very often. Now, the Lacey card over there did the exact same thing, but at least that's from a brand new set, right? You got Lacey, which just came out, came in at number 5. Again, newer set, not surprising to see her on here. But then to go from number 5 to not on the list at all, again, that is just a big, big jump in the wrong direction. Now, even though Greninja hasn't been on this list from Twilight Masquerade, I still talk about it because obviously that up until Surging Sparks was the big chase card, and I thought it'd just be interesting to see how it moves. And last month, Greninja was at number 16. It was the number 16 ranked card that exchanged hands the most on TCG Player. This month, it doesn't quite crack the top 10, but it made a big, big progress all the way up to number 11. So keep an eye on Greninja. That card just crushed $320 the other day. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. It doesn't matter what I think. All that matters is that the market thinks this card is hot, and it has been selling like hotcakes. Now, getting into the actual top 10, here we go. This card, believe it or not, this Charizard from the Celebration set, it has been on and off this list just randomly over the last 12 months. It has been incredible to watch this card. So you see the price graph. It's not, I mean, it's basically flat over the last year, but over the last year of that flatness, you've seen that it has gone down, it has gone up, peaks and valleys and all over the place. Lots of card movement just to end up essentially flat over the last year from a price perspective. However, what we have been talking about as this card has been on and off the list is the price of that Ultra Premium Collection box, which I have there on the left-hand side. It was at $370 $270 for a lot of the year. And then really in May, it started working its way down. And then when it hit that $330 level in August, we raised our hands and we're like, all right, listen, Celebrations packs might not be the greatest packs in the world, but when you think about what's in the box, right, you got those metal cards. Those metal cards in a Gem Mint 10 case go for a ton of money. And then you also have the gold cards. You got the Pokeball, you got the Pikachu gold cards in there, which are really hard to get in a high Gem Mint 10 condition. So all of that combined, when it got to $330, we were like, hey, listen, I think this is way undervalued. Now, you will see that the price has spiked, right? It's all the way up to $412. I mean, that's an $82 jump in a very short period of time, but you will also see that it looks like there was a big buyout. So is it going to be able to hold on to that $412 range? I don't know, but I certainly don't think it's going to settle back down at the $330 range. So again, on this video series, we don't just talk about the cards, we talk about the boxes that they come from, tons of cool learnings, and it's going to be interesting to see what that Ultra Premium Collection box does in the long run. Coming in at number 9, Crown Zenith just does not go away, okay? I love Crown Zenith. I have some awesome memories of ripping Crown Zenith with my family at all kinds of different stages, right? I remember ripping Crown Zenith well over a year ago, and then our most recent trip, like we brought a bunch of packs of Crown Zenith on the plane with us so we could rip. And my one daughter was lucky enough to pull this Arceus card, and my other daughter was lucky enough to pull the gold Dialga card. So again, just great memories from Crown Zenith, but I do have some concerns about the long-term price opportunity here. Like, I don't think that they're going to crash in value, but I do think that there is a ton of Crown Zenith cards out there. Now, this card right here, if you take away that irrational buyout there in May of this year, really the price growth has been relatively steady. Started off the year right at about $50, and now it's sitting at $69. So a $20 gain over the course of a year is nothing to shake a fist at, right? From a percentage standpoint, that's a really healthy gain coming in at almost 30%. And then on the left, you see that was the Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer box, because remember, Crown Zenith doesn't have booster boxes. It's a specialty set, and again, you can see over the last year the price has been up, the price has been down, but it's directionally flat. It's been holding in that $100 range for a long time, and I think that's a fair price. I'm not going out and buying it. I'm certainly not selling the ones that I have. I do think it's going to hold that $100 range. I don't see it spiking up anytime soon, but I do think that that's a really interesting product to have. In my mind, that was one of the very first of these new Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes, right? I think that one's called the Pokemon Center Plus or something like that. It's not even called Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer box. It's the Elite Trainer Box Plus. But anyways, really cool card. Crown Zenith is just a set that keeps on giving. And speaking of that, we're going to see another Crown Zenith card very soon. But before we get to that one, guess what? The Magikarp from Paldea evolved. Speaking of cards and sets that I absolutely love, you know that I am irrationally in love with Paldea Evolved. I like the card lineup. I've loved this Magikarp the whole year. Ever since it came out, I've loved the Magikarp, and obviously the Magikarp has been getting a whole lot of love here recently. You see those 3 stars, right? It has been on this list 3 months in a row, and prior to that, it was on again, off again. So, I mean, this card has seen a lot of love in the top 10 cards that exchange hands the most on TCG Player, really ever since Paldea Evolved came out. And it's interesting, you know, the card started off in like the $40 range, then it had that big spike all the way up to the $100. And I heard a lot of people saying, man, this card's overpriced, it's not going to be able to hold the line. But what was always interesting to me is I think the artwork is amazing, but what you have here is you have a beautiful artwork from an absolute OG card, right? Magikarp, one of the first Pokemon that came out, right? So you have all of that combined with a really abysmal gem rate. I mean, this set is over a year and a half old, and when you look at the gem rate on this card, there's still less than 2,500 PSA 10s out there. So you have incredible art from a wildly popular Pokemon, right? And then you have the fact that it's got a really low gem rate. That's really what's driving the growth here of this raw card price. And again, up 118% over the last year at $153 right now. Love this card, love everything about it. I sent one to PSA and I only got a PSA 9, which sounds like most people did the exact same thing, but super cool card to have in the collection nonetheless. So coming in at number 7, sticking with Crown Zenith, this Mewtwo card is my absolute favorite card from Crown Zenith. Absolutely love it. And when you look at the price movements too, same thing. Take away that irrational spike there in the middle of May, and guess what? If you take that out and you just normalize it and you trend line it from the beginning of the year to where it is now, I think it's been some really steady price growth, and I think it's been a very healthy price growth. Now again, same concerns that I have with the Arceus, same concerns I have with Crown Zenith overall. There are tons of these Crown Zenith packs left to be opened. There are tons of Crown Zenith cards out there. When we do our grading report video, we see the Crown Zenith is one of the most graded English Pokemon sets that there is just all time, period, hard stop, like it's wild. So we'll see what the long-term prospects are, but I love this card, and obviously the market loves it if it's coming in at number 7 this month. Next card coming in at number 6 from Stellar Crown, you got the Terapagos. Really cool to see this card hold on, but you know what this card is doing that we don't traditionally see? Take a look at the price. It's doing what we're used to seeing, the Pokemon pop and flop. Things like the Greninja, things like the Pikachu from Surging Sparks. I mean, they're just taking off and not really looking back. We're used to these chase cards coming out and dropping down. Now, obviously, Stellar Crown is not going to go down as one of the best sets from the Scarlet and Violet era. It certainly will not go down as one of the worst, but the Terapagos card here, it's been on here 2 months in a row, and it's down below the $100 mark, and I would not be surprised if it starts settling a little bit or if it continues to drop. So interesting to see a chase card at least doing what we're used to seeing in the past. Next card coming in at number 5, the Venusaur from 151. Man, 151 is just an animal. It does not stop. Now, you will see that there was, remember we were talking about irrational price spikes early on? You have an example of that right here. So the dark blue line represents the price movement, and those light blue bar graphs, that represents volume. And you will see that about a month ago, somebody went online, it could have been multiple people, who knows, but they bought about 120 of them, probably bought all of them that were on TCG Player, and that's why you see that big spike in price right there. They just went on, bought all of them to control the market, and you will see that the price has been coming down ever since. However, it's going to be interesting to see where the bottom settles. Where does this start to find support again? We'll just have to wait and see. You know, 151, again, that is a set of the ages. It is a terrible set in terms of print quality, so the gem rate is really low on these, which is, again, going to drive the price of the singles cards up. Venusaur is one of the most popular Pokemon, so it's got a lot of things going for it, but this is why I want you to be informed when you make decisions. When you make buying decisions and you see these prices that all of a sudden change on TCG Player, make sure that you look at the pricing volume, and so you understand if it was just driven by a buyout or if it's more of the organic growth that we talked about from some of the cards earlier on. Coming in at number 4, Blastoise, same card, same story. Look at it again. Big irrational price spike, starting to work its way back down. We'll have to see, but this card is the number 2 chase card in the 151 set. You got obviously the Charizard there at number top. This one's coming in at number 2. I love the whole Blastoise lineup. I love the Blastoise. I love the Wartortle. You know I love the Squirtle. I think this card in the long run, I think all 3 of them are just going to organically lift each other up. So I think this card has a lot of long-term opportunity. 151, when you look on the left, I mean, that is the Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer Box pricing, right? It is at $216 for a Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer Box of 151. Now, obviously, you got that stamped promo card in there. That Snorlax is going for $100 in and of itself. But it's just wild to see these prices for 151, and I'm very excited. And again, we got a new 151 product that's coming out in February. Like this late in the cycle, we have a brand new one. I think it's going to have 13 151 packs in it. So remember, everybody, we're going to get another chance to get our hands on some of these packs. I'm sure all pre-orders will sell out almost instantly, but hopefully you can find them in your local card shop or your local big box store, depending on when it comes out. So hopefully we'll have a chance to get some hands on some more 151 because it is such an amazing set. Coming in at number 3, Paldean Fates. And Paldean Fates was like my sleeper pick. I'm such a huge fan of Paldean Fates. I love the baby shinies. I love this Charizard. Spoiler alert, we're going to look at the Bubble Mew here in just a minute. But this card coming in at number 3, and look, it has been on the list for 6 months in a row. I went back and looked at some of the Sword and Shield cards that were on the list for 6 months or more. You're talking about the Giratina from Lost Origin. You're talking about the Gengar from Fusion Strike. You're talking about the Moonbreon. The Moonbreon was on here. The freaking Lugia from Silver Tempest was on here at one point for like 8 months in a row. Now, that doesn't mean the Charizard is destined to do the same thing as those cards. All it tells you is that the level of popularity, the number of people who are buying and selling this is comparable to those other cards. So when we talk about lessons from the past, that is what comes to top of mind, and people must absolutely love this Charizard. Now, you can see that the buying volume has been increasing ever steadily. If you look from September, I mean, it's gone from like 60 to 80 to 100, all the way up to 120, and the price has responded. It's all the way up at $142 right now. So again, is it going to be able to hold on to that? We'll just have to wait and see. Then on the left, you can see the Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer Box for Paldean Fates. Absolutely love that product. I've been saying it on this channel for months now, back when it was down almost at MSRP, right? You could have bought it in the $70 range on the secondary market, even though it sold out on the Pokemon Center. I said, listen guys, the Bubble Mew is going to be special, the Charizard is going to be special, the baby shinies are at least going to be very good secondary, tertiary, and quaternary cards. So you should pick this up, and guess what? I think a lot of you have, because the price is starting to go up. Love that product for a long-term buy and hold. And of course, the Bubble Mew. Bubble Mew is just a special card. It's absolutely awesome. I love the mashup cards whenever you have multiple different Pokemon on there, which this one does. I love the artwork. You know, at first I was kind of on the fence about it, but obviously the market absolutely loves it. Another one that has been on here 6 months in a row, coming in at number 2. Look at the price movement. Again, from May until September, this thing was holding steady right at the $90 range, and now pops its way back up, all the way up to a $175 card, which is wild to think about. But Paldean Fates, who knows? Maybe all these cards are going to crash. Maybe Paldean Fates won't be as great of a long-term buy and hold as I think, but at least this far in, it certainly seems having a couple cards up over that $100 mark. Heck, one is almost at 150, one's almost at 175. Like, that just really bodes well for the long-term prospects of this set. And finally, the number one card, of course, coming back to 151, you got the Charizard right here. Absolutely love it. And another great example of a card where this was a $110 card for most of the year. And this was where, I mean, you just knew this was going to be more than a $100 card, right? You didn't know when, you didn't know how, you didn't know why, but you knew 151 was one of the most popular sets. You knew the gem rate of 151 was absolutely terrible. You just knew this card was going to break out, and it did. Now, again, you see there was like 120 that were purchased almost on a single day or within a single week, right? So obviously the price spiked. It's going to be interesting to see if it holds on to it, but even if it comes back down, when I'm thinking about the long-term prospects of Scarlet and Violet, I think this is going to be one of the top chase cards. Maybe not the number one, maybe not even in the top 5. All right, okay, I think it's going to be in the top 5, but it's going to be a great chase card, and I do think that, hey, it's going to have a great long-term run. I think it's got a lot of upside to it. So that's it. Those are the top 10 cards this month that have exchanged hands on TCG Player more than anything else. As I said in the beginning, I'm going to be doing a vintage variant of this, which I'm incredibly excited about. I think as wonderful as these cards are, and I think as bright of a future as they do, I think if you have a long-term time horizon, 10, 15, 20 years or more, I think some of these older cards really give you the best opportunity for huge ROI in the long run. So excited for this video, excited for the next one. If you made it to the end and you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button. If you got questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. I appreciate you more than I can say. Hope you have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.